Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the Power Query Editor. The Power Query Editor in Power BI is a robust data preparation tool that allows the users to transform and manipulate their data before loading it into the Power BI model. It provides a user-friendly interface with a wide range of powerful features for cleaning, shaping, and combining the data from various sources. With Power Query Editor, users can perform the tasks such as removing the duplicate data, splitting columns, merging or appending queries, filtering rows, and performing advanced transformation using a simple, intuitive interface. It supports a rich set of functions and operations, including the conditional logic, text manipulation, and mathematical calculations, enabling the users to prepare the data according to their specific requirements. One of the key advantages of Power Query Editor is its ability to create reusable data transformation steps through a process called applied steps. Users can easily track and edit their transformation history, allowing for iterative data preparation and refinement. Additionally, the Power Query Editor provides a preview of the data transformations results in real time, empowering the users to visualize their impact of the actions before even applying them permanently. Overall, the Power Query Editor streamlines the data preparation process and reduces the need for that manual data manipulation, saving the time and efforts for the users. Its intuitive interface and extensive capabilities make it a powerful tool for ensuring that the data is clean, structured, and ready for analysis in Power BI. So let's go to the Power BI screen and see how can we use this Power Query Editor. So we are in our Power BI screen. Now let's say if you want to use this Power Query Editor, the first step is to load any data. So let's say if I click on get data and if I click on Excel workbook and I want to connect the Excel workbook for now, I will choose this global superstore data set and I will click on OK. After it has selected the data source, it would load the preview of that particular data set. So let's say if I want to import orders for now. So my data set consists of three tables, orders, peoples, and returns. So right now I'm only choosing this orders table. Now I can see these three options over here at the bottom part. The first option is of load, which would be used when your data is clean enough to be directly loaded into Power BI. The second option is of transform data, which would be used to open the Power Query editor. So I will use this transform option and this would open the Power Query editor for me. Now I have this Power Query editor in front of me. So let's talk a bit more about the user interface of it. On the left hand side, I can see this queries option. So it would show me all the particular data sets which are right now opened in the Power Query editor. So before loading this orders dataset, I have opened it multiple times and I have also worked on few other files which are open in this Power Query editor. So all these can be looked over here in this queries option. Now this query options give you multiple other options, like for example, let's say if you want to switch to any other data set, you can easily switch from over here. So right now I want to work only on the orders one. So I will click on this orders one and it would open the preview of the data for me. In this preview, you can see like what is the data inside those rows, what are the columns name and the data types and the other things as well. So we will be talking about this in the upcoming sessions. Now, this ribbon-like structure has too many options inside of that. The first one is this home tab. In this home tab, I have this new query option where I can easily load any other data set if I want to from any other data source. If you don't have any data source and if you want to create your own data, you can use this enter data option. So if I click on it, it would open a new window for me and it would give me the options to add these columns and add the data in those particular columns. So for now, I will click on cancel as I already have this data loaded in front of me. Then we have the option of doing some settings in the data sources. Let's say if you have multiple data source right now in front of you and you have loaded the data from these sources. If you want to do any kind of setting, we also have this data source setting option over here. Then we have the options to manage the parameters and the query options, in which we also have the option of refreshing the preview. Let's say if you're working on any live data and if the new rows have been inserted in that data or if anything has been changed in that data. And if you want to load it over here right now and if you want to refresh this view, so you can click on refresh view and it would load that new changes for you. Then we also have the option to open the advanced editor from over here, which basically works on the M code. So we will talk about it in the upcoming session. Then I have the option of managing the columns and managing the rows as well. Then in the transformation steps, I have these options of splitting the column, grouping the column, and the other transformations on these rows and columns. So I have these options over here, which includes using the first row as header. So whenever you are loading the data, sometimes it would happen that the first row over here which would not be used as the column header. So in case if you want to use it, you can use this use first row as headers. So we will also be taking a look at it when we will be working with any data which is not clean enough. Then I also have the option of merging and appending the queries and combining multiple files over here. And as well as we also have this option of AI insights on the far right hand side. On the bottom part, I have this properties option, which shows me the basic properties of the data set. And I also have this option of the applied steps. Now, what is this applied steps? So let's say if you are making any kind of changes in the data, let's say if I'm choosing this row ID column, and if I just wish to remove this, so I can use this remove column options, and I will use this remove columns option, and it would delete that row ID for me. Now I have done an extra transformation step in my data set, and that transformation step would be listed over here in the applied steps. So whatever transformations you are doing in your data, all these things step by step would be listed over here in the applied steps option. Now let's say if you roll back, so how can you do it? So you have this cross option just in front of that applied steps. So you can click on it and it would roll back that step for you. So let's say if you have done any change unintentionally, so you can use this. And it is very useful that whenever you are working with any data and you know that in future you will be getting some data of similar kind, you don't want to repeat all these steps again on that particular data. So in that case, this is saving all the steps over here. So now you know that what are the steps that you have to apply on that particular data, and it is also saving this whole applied steps in the form of M language, which we will be talking about in the next session in the advanced editor. So you can basically copy that part and you can use that whole transformation into your new data set as well. Then if we talk about some other options, so we have this transform options. So all the options of transformation that you are seeing over here, along with those, we also have some other transformation steps. For example, if you want to make any changes in the tables, if you want to make changes in the columns, let's say if you want to pivot the column or unpivot the column or move these columns or splitting these columns, formatting these columns, or making a new columns on the basics of, let's say, statistics or any scientific kind of numeric operations. So all these things can be controlled with this particular pane. Then we also have the options of date and time columns. From over here, you can control and make any changes to date and time columns. Then we also have the option to run the scripts, which includes the R scripts as well as the Python scripts. Then the next one is at the add column option. So in the add column, let's say if you want to add any columns based on some new queries or new functions. So all these options can be done from over here. Then we also have the option to make duplicate columns, index columns, and make the columns with the help of these conditional columns options. Then we have the option of formatting the text, the numbers, the date and time columns again management from over here, and the AI insights that we saw in the home tab. In the view tab, I have the option to control the advanced editor with the help of M language and also see all the data sources that have been loaded into my Power BI with the help of this query dependency. And I can see basically which data set is dependent on which particular other data set or which table is related to which table. So all these things can be managed from this query dependency. We will be talking about it also in the upcoming session. Then I have this tool option. So over here, basically, I can run the diagnostics. I can control the options of diagnostics and the other parts. Then I have the help option, which would be basically the documentation, the support videos, and the Power BI blogs and the communities. So these are all the things in the Power Query editor. We will be looking at all the options one by one whenever we are trying to clean the data. So we will be using all these options one by one, and we will be also taking a look at the advanced editor and also the query dependency editor in the upcoming session. This was all for this session. I hope you liked this session. And if you're not able to use this Power Query editor, let's say if you have just clicked on, um, let's say load the data for now, so you can still open the Power Query editor. All you need to do is you need to go in this home tab and you can click over here in the transform data option and it would again bring you back in the Power Query editor. So this was all for this session. Thank you.